My name is Ruby Baker. I currently live in Bordeaux Hills, right off of County Hospital Road, and our neighborhood is one that we participated in the first round of the participatory budget, and our project was selected, and we had some speed cushions installed on Hinkle Drive. So we're now here again to participate, and we want more speed cushions on different streets. So I asked a question because I wanted to know 2021, if that was the year. That was the first participatory budget. I wanted to know what they learned from that and what changes they may be implementing now for the 2022. I just want to know their feedback on how the first one went and what changes they implemented for 2022.
Well, yeah, thank you for that question, and I'm glad Brad is here because it's one of the things we learned on the first cycle is that we need to give more time to the process to be successful. Like last year, we will send information or request for information to the NDOT people, and they will have very little time to get back with us and to help the budget delegates be able to work with the ideas that people had submitted. And so this year, we are giving every step of the process more time to allow for the process to be more efficient. That's something we learned from the feedback we got last year. The other thing we learned last year is that many of the ideas that had been submitted to the budget delegates were not, they couldn't be used because they lack definition, they didn't have enough information on those ideas to help the budget delegate work with. And a budget delegate can only work with the ideas that people give them. A budget delegate cannot use his own idea, it has to use the ideas from the community. So for example, last year, many people in your neighborhood just wrote, we want speed cushions. Well, that's not enough because we need to know what street do they want the speed cushion.
You need more detail.
Yeah, if we don't have that detail, then the budget delegate it's at a hard place to try to understand what the person that submitted the idea wants. And so we saw that many of the ideas last year were not specific enough. So this year we are doing these opportunities, these conversations, so we can give feedback to people and they can figure out how to create ideas that can be used not only by the budget delegates, but can help the departments to provide a better scope of work, a better budget. If I get an idea that says I want sidewalks all over Bordeaux, well, that will take like tens of millions of dollars, and the cap on PV is $2 million. So if you really want to have sidewalks, we need to know I want sidewalks from this street to this street, on the left side, on the right side, on both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, is there someone to help the community understand? Is there someone giving more explanation on the projects that could be accepted? And like, for instance, if they do say speed cushions on the streets, is there someone to explain to them the cost and how to be specific?
Yeah.
Because, like, for instance, in our neighborhood, we have 18 streets. So if we want speed bumps, how do we determine which street should we submit? You see what I'm saying? How is that going to happen? Is there someone to explain to us the details that's required for the project?
Well, we could, but we won't do that because it's not, we have to work really hard at not influencing your ideas. So, I'm sure Brad could give you some feedback, say, put it on this street, put it on that street, but I will be angry at Brad because we're not supposed to do that.
So who's going to be able to do it?
You guys are supposed to share what streets do you want to work on, and then once you know what streets, you submit those ideas to the program so the budget delegates can use your ideas to put it on the ballot.
But is there someone to talk us through it? Because if we're talking amongst ourselves and we say, like, one of our longest streets in there is like Snell Boulevard or Panorama, if we suggest that street and the cost is more than what the budget will allow, how will I know that?
Well, that's why, you submit the ideas that you want to submit, and then the budget delegates will try to make sense of it. So last year, they asked the NDOT people for pricing on some of the items because they wanted to see if they could actually solve some of the issues that the community was submitting. And the people at NDOT gave them back a scope of work and some pricing for that. So the pricing is something that the budget delegates work with the different departments. So that's up to the budget delegates to work, but the role of the residents is to submit as many ideas as possible, so the budget delegates have some ingredients that they can use to put together a project that then can go to the department to provide feedback.
Is it possible to have a budget delegate there to help us talk through our project ideas?
Well, this is what this meeting is about.
Oh.
You know, we put this meeting together and we invited Brad so people could come here and ask those questions. And if people have questions later, they can still email pb@nashville.gov and we'll run it by Brad and put it on the next newsletter or something. I mean, we want people to have as much information as possible. So yeah, I mean, pb@nashville.gov is the email that we use to capture information from people. So please share that email with people that might want more information, and we'll work at getting them an answer.
And my other question too is, I know to look on the emails, and I looked at the fine print to see this meeting for today. It's not really clear to those that don't sift through details on the emails. So I'm thinking that may be a reason why people didn't come out. And then when I came here, it looked like the building was vacant. It wasn't until I just actually pulled around that I saw the sign. So there's nothing out front to tell me the meeting is here, had I not went a step further. So I would just say that maybe, you know, that wasn't clear, and maybe a lack of, because there's a lack of participation today. So
it could be a variety of reasons why people didn't come,
Yeah.
and that's why we're having different meetings at
I
different
saw
parts of the
different places.
region. So if people cannot make this meeting, there are 4, 5, 6 more meetings, and we even have a meeting online for people that for whatever reason don't feel comfortable getting into a group.
Okay.
And then, you know, a couple of residents invited me to come to their neighborhood association.
That's good.
And we are available to do that too. I mean, if you want me to come to your HOA, to your neighborhood association meeting, I'm happy to go there and answer any questions. We want to be available between now and August 1st. August 1st is the deadline.
I know a neighborhood group that, let's see, I think I'm going to their meeting Monday. But if you don't have their contact, I really want you to contact them, because they asked me to come to talk about the participatory budget. And so I'm going to give you their name. It's the Haynes Park. Of course, you have Gina's information, but their meeting is Monday. They really need to know.
Yeah.
Good. Monday?
Yes.
Good. And the other question I wanted to ask, you got a lot of project ideas from the people that participated in 2021. And you have a lot of projects that were not selected.
Okay.
What happens to those projects?
Well, the steering committee made a decision about it. They made a decision that all the non-funded projects of the first cycle will be considered by the steering committee for this year.
Good.
Only the ballot items, not all the 400 ideas, but the ballot items. So there were 25 ballot items, 8 got funded. The remaining items will be considered by the
Is
budget.
that what's online? I saw, I clicked on a link that's online.
No, the guidelines are not online yet.
No, I mean, I clicked on a link that had like 20 pages of, did I print it?
Those
Yeah.
are the ideas from last
Yeah,
year.
those are the ideas from last year, like these right here.
Yes.
So a lot of these will be considered.
No.
Some.
The
will-
ballot items.
These were not valid items.
Well, 24 of those became ballot.
So we had.
You're saying ballot, and you're
Va-
saying valid.
He's saying valid. What are you saying?
BALLOT.
Ballot items, because they selected 25, right? So these were those that were not selected.
No, I mean, the ballot was made out of 25 items from that list.
Okay, so what happened to those that were not selected? Those are the ones that you said they were
No,
considered.
because some of those were not eligible, they didn't meet the requirements. There was a reason why only 25 end up on the ballot, because the other items either didn't qualify, were ineligible, didn't have enough specifics on them.
Oh, okay.
So the items that are on the ballot, the 25 items that are on the ballot, those that didn't get funded on 2021 will be considered for 2022.
Oh, out of those 25, because you selected 8
Yes.
that were funded. So that's good.
Well, they decided that.
I mean, that's good. So how would, so those people that submitted those project ideas, how would they know that it's still in this cycle? That's maybe not a your answer question, but that's interesting to know, because you know what, that's very encouraging to those that submitted ideas that were not selected the first time. So it's still a possibility now that they could be selected. So that's really good news.
They want the budget delegates for the 2022 year to consider the unfunded items from the first year. It doesn't mean that they will end up on the ballot.
Right, but they're still in rotation, per
Yes.
se. They're still there. Okay, and then, like I said, the other items that were not able to be valid or on the ballot or selected, I'm sure those people went through a lot just to make sure their voice was heard. So that's my question, is what happened to those?
Well, and that's why all the budget delegate meetings are public, and people actually are encouraged to view the meetings and to participate, so they can get a sense of how the process goes and how the budget delegates decide on eligibility for ideas submitted by the community.
Yeah, I mean, like those that were not selected.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if there's a way to take those items, if it's a way to identify which council district they were in. Well, they're in District 1, 2, 3, and the others that were selected. Is there a way to forward that information to the council members? So, you know,
Yeah,
because
we
see,
also-
that's a project, that's an idea, that's basically telling the council person what that community needs.
Yes, we actually put it on the last newsletter, and we want to share with people. We send those ideas to some of the departments to see if they could do something with that information to improve the community. The idea is that any idea we get from the community, they are thirsty for that information because they want to
That's-
know more what you guys need,
Yeah.
so they can fine tune the type of services they offer.
So am I looking at the list of those?
From
what you had
2021,
online?
yes.
So these are all of the project ideas that were submitted. So how can if I can clearly tell some and what area they're in?
But see, what it limits
Is the
you-
information
When you
confidential?
said it, I can't talk to you.
It's public, but by reading through that, if you see that it's not clear enough, that tells you why they didn't end up on the
Right,
ballot.
but some is very clear.
Yes.
Some is very clear, like my brain is ticking, and I'm gonna sift through this so I can see what's in District 1 and try to help me, because what I can see now is some of those projects on here, the Haynes Park neighborhood may have submitted some of these project ideas, but they don't know that all they need to do now is to really encourage the neighborhood to vote for them when they come
Not
out.
on the list.
You know, when the voting period opens.
If they are on the ballot.
Right, but we don't know yet whether or not they are or are not. But this will give them an idea as to at least what made it to the table.
Yes,
You know?
but now we're on the second year, and we need them to submit ideas again. If there are ideas that are important to them, they need to actually submit ideas and be more specific about it. Like, you know,
But it could be
hold
some on here, yeah, it could be a project idea on here that they may not have been specific about. I'm sorry.
Yes, so let me walk you through this real fast. This is an example of ideas that we just received. We received 19 ideas already since we started, and some of these ideas are great, but they lack specifics. So when the budget delegate wants to put a project together for that idea, it won't have enough information to do it. For example, here it says install and replace street signs, right?
Which one?
Number 3, it says install and replace street signs.
Right, I'm just saying I can see how that's open-ended.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
like
what
which
street
one?
signs,
Yeah.
where, you know, through Bordeaux and North Nashville or in a particular street. So that doesn't help the budget delegate understand what that idea really was. An idea that is a good idea in terms of having enough information is number 8, for example, subsidize park budget to fix drainage at Ted Rose Golf Course.
That's more
That's a very
specific.
specific
Yeah.
information with a location and a problem to solve. That's a good scope of work type description. Something that is not going to work is number 2, for example. It says create a community garden with allotments that residents can rent for a small fee. The problem with that is, and we saw it on the first cycle, is that if we have to use operating budget money to manage this idea, then we can, because we can only use capital spending plan money. And Parks already told us that have community gardens require a staffer that will manage community gardens. So everything that you see yellow are things that could use more information. Everything that you see green, I feel that the budget delegates will consider. Everything you see red, I know that they may not consider because
It's too broad.
It's unelegible.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that's what I need people to do. We need people to do. We need 2 things. We need people to volunteer as budget delegates, so they can actually lead the process in putting the ballot together, right? And the other thing we need is when they write an idea, to be as specific as possible. It's like when you send your spouse to the grocery store, and you really want.
You did not say that.
You know what you want to eat.
You did not use that one.
And you won't tell your spouse, just buy me dinner. You'll say,
Yeah.
buy me a
No.
steak with potatoes and sour cream, and you will be very specific.
Yeah.
So when you write that idea, you really want that idea to be as specific as you can. Even if it seems overkill, don't worry about it. It's better to have more information than
Did
less.
not. Right. Good deal. Good. I got it. So I'm wondering if some of these are, well, Luby Center. I'm wondering if some of these came from Haynes Park.
Could be. It's,
Well,
I-
maybe not. They may
I-
not know it's out. It's
I know
open.
who submitted it, but I didn't want to share that in public. I just copied it.
Oh, you can see. Okay.
I mean, I know who submitted it, the name, I have the phone number, and we did that on purpose because the steering committee decided that they wanted to give the opportunity to the budget delegates to be able to call them.
If they had
and-
questions
Yes.
or what have you. I got it. Very good. I'm good.
All right. Anything you want to share? I mean, you
No, I
can
don't have
go
much
with
to add. No. So
What-
yeah, just to reiterate, we're here for technical support at these meetings, just to help provide you some insight on when you ask questions about, and you use the right use speed cushion.
You told me they were speed cushions. I was calling them speed humps
I call
for a
them
while. Yeah.
But yeah, to give you an idea of feasibility, and for example, sidewalks. What the condition of the existing infrastructure is like, and what would be. We try to provide that technical support for those who are working on proposals. But we don't want to take away from any ideas, or any idea generation,
Yeah.
in there. We just want to be that support role.
Now, is it true that the sidewalks, well, not is it true, I know it's true, but when we had sidewalks put in our neighborhood, we had gotten a grant funding, this was years ago, community development block grant, and we had sidewalks put in. Well, we were gonna have, have sidewalks put in, but when we were going through the process to select which streets to put the sidewalks on, the sidewalks could not be on the same side as the telephone pole.
Yeah,
They had to
utilities-
be on the opposite side.
So
Is
there
that
are,
still the
well,
case?
utility relocation is a big challenge, and it doesn't impact the cost of a project. And another thing we have to think about is the drainage, the storm drainage,
Yeah.
that's there. Something that we've been able to really jump on in Nashville is when we already have curb and gutter out there, we can quickly put sidewalk down at a lower cost in there. So we look for those opportunities, the gap analysis, but we also look for input from the community too, to where there's network connectivity opportunities where we already have curb and gutter. Those are great
Because
projects.
But on that question you just asked, for example, last year, budget delegates will ask NDOT, can we put a sidewalk here? And then NDOT will say, well, you may not put it on this side, but you can put it on the other side. And they will provide that feedback to the budget delegates, so the budget delegates could fine tune their proposal. And so they are very engaged in the process.
Yeah, and that's
You have
good.
back to your speed bumps.
Yes, sir.
You have a layout
cushions. You have a layout for those that tells them what the design is, how they're designed.
Yeah,
I
we,
saw
we
that.
do. We
Number
do.
two, do you have a list of the projects and what neighborhoods the projects are being going in?
We do. Yes, sir.
So what if you want to get speed cushions?
Say that again.
What if you want to get speed cushions for your neighborhood? Besides going through this process, what do you do?
So we have a traffic calming program
Right.
where we get applications. So we go through a prioritization process, and we do speed studies. We do crash analysis, but also a collection of how we prioritize. Currently we have over 200 applications that we're going through. We actually are pushing out 50 a year. So we select 50 applications a year to get put out in there. And then we go through, we want it still to be a community-driven process. So we go through a petitioning process in that as well, so everyone is on the same page with the design of what we're putting out there on the street. And then we move forward with the deployment of the project after that. So, but we're aiming to put out 50 a year.
So I saw on the list,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a person, an entity that you have as one of the candidates, but they're not even a part of the community. So my question is, how would that process go forward?
So they have to be part of the community. They have to have an address. They have to have an address.
They just have an address, that's it. They're
Really?
not part of the community.
They submit an application. They also have to have other neighbors who sign. It can't just be one person. There has to be four people. Four people.
There must be 4 people,
Can we get,
one on each side.
can you get that, design the Fabian and
Yes.
the list of projects,
Absolutely.
prioritize and you can send them out to us? Okay.
Can I ask Brad a
One
question?
other question. I've been trying to find out, and everybody I call is confused. You know those little traffic devices, what you record the number of cars and what have you? Mm-hmm. Who puts those out?
So a number. We do have our own resources in-house. So you're talking about 2 counts. So we do the 2 counts where we put those out, but we also use a vendor who puts those out as well.
Okay, the question becomes, why do you put them out?
So we put them out to actually record the speeds that people are traveling and the volumes of people. We don't collect anything about individuals who are in that area, but we want to get an idea of what the volumes are on the roads and what the speeds are on the roads. So if we have a speed problem out there, if we get data back that shows the posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour, and then we have an average or 95th percentile high average of like 50 miles an hour, we know, hey, we got a speed problem here. We got to do something about it. So that's why we collect that
That's
data.
the little thing across the road can
Yes,
tell?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
How do you get
We-
that little thing across your road?
We went through that application process when the traffic calming program first opened under Megan Berry. And we submitted an application for that, and our neighborhood was selected. And what they did on the application, they came out, they installed those black strips
Right.
on several streets in our neighborhood for about 10 days. And they recorded all of that data. So with the strips being down there, it recorded all 24 hours of the day. So they collected all of that information, and they came back to our community meeting, and they had these maps to show us, because what we think is speed may not be speed. It could just be a number of cars. So that strip records the speed, and they posted all of that information, and we looked at it, and from there they were able to determine the street that actually had a lot of speed on it. And then they posted the speed limit in the street. We didn't have enough speed limit signs posting it in the neighborhood. So they read a lot from that data. It even told the time of day that it was a lot of speeding happening, and the days. So, you may see it Tuesday at 3 o'clock, but the speeding could have been happening through the middle of the night. So that's what those strips are that you see. It's recording every time the car passed, every time. And that was a lot of information that was helpful.
You know a whole lot about this already.
We went through that program.
Can we,
I'm sorry.
I want to go back to PB if you guys don't mind.
Okay, let me just ask you one.
Yes, sir.
Who do you get that information from? Because when you call, what is it, the 411 or whatever it is, they run you all over the county.
You can call us if you see if you see one out there, I'll give you my business card. And
Okay.
You can call our office.
Gotcha.
You brought a lot.
and get you a traffic.
That's what I was asking.
we have the data. I mean, it's public data. We'll share
Okay.
you the data that we're collecting.
Okay, so let's go to PB. For PB, how much money does even though we have 2 million, how much money does NDOT have for annual?
For traffic calming,
Yeah.
so about 15 million is what we have annually
Okay.
for traffic calming.
So our little 2 million is a good cushion.
Yeah. It's,
What would be interesting is to see what they've already got planned for this area that might overshadow what we've got planned.
Will you give us that information?
absolutely. We can give you that information. We're actually going to have it online too, where you can actually see a map of all the locations in Nashville that have actually they put in applications for. So it'll be drawn on a map, so you can see the locations that are we currently have an active application for, or we're currently in deployment. Yeah, it may already be out there. Yeah, we're updating that, so that you can quickly get out there and see what's already been submitted, what's in construction.
But regardless, when the budget delegates start sending them information, they will let them know we're already doing that. So.
Yeah, we will.
So if someone puts in, like this is on the idea, they put a street information, then you need to run that by your department to see if it's already planned.
If we already have a project for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
okay. But that's like what we did with Luby Center, and the air conditioning, we've known that they were going to do it out of their budget.
Yeah.
Could have worked on something else.
So the reason, the question I wanted to ask you, which is the reason you came here today, is give us some examples of items that are eligible to be done with the NDOT, with the capital spending plan.
Yeah.
An example of items that couldn't be funded.
We really like items like traffic calmings are great items. Something that we can use the vertical measures out there, or in addition to that, speed limit signage. In other feedback signs, there's other calming measures that we use too. So those are all great items for participatory budget applications. In addition to that, if there's like a sidewalk request that comes out in a gap, say there's a gap of need out there, you say, well, there's a gap in the sidewalk here, there's no connectivity, and there's already curb and gutter there, those are great. Those are great applications for us because, hey, we don't have to worry about doing the stormwater drainage design, right away relocation, all these things. If it's already got curb and gutter, likely we can go out there and quickly deploy sidewalk at a lower cost. So those are great opportunities that we see. Other things, as far as safety and transportation, I really like to see things for crossings like
We
these
don't
and
care
crossings.
what you like.
Yeah.
We just want to know what you
I don't want to
But
say
I
that,
do
but
have a
I'm
question.
telling you the things that are kind of what we see as low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
There. I don't want to guide your ideas. We want
We
it.
can put in ideas anyway.
You can put whatever ideas, but like crossing projects, like we call them rectangular rapid flashing beacons. That's a big word, but you see them out there where you don't have, it's not at a signalized intersection, it's a mid-block crossing where you actually have flashers that you can push to actually encourage people to slow down. And we find that they work. People tend to roll through those mid-block crossings just looking at the signs, but when you have an actuated flashing yellow and white strobe out there,
Is that the one with the speed limit in it, or is that just the one with the?
well, no, that would just be a strobe, be a strobe light, that has a yellow bar and a white bar, and it flashes. It lights up everything, even in the daytime, and it just catches people's attention to slow down, and it's actually push button actuated.
Right.
So people push it, to cross the street. So.
What about a sign on the highway?
So signs on the highway, if it's on a TDOT route, obviously that makes it to where we have to really coordinate with the Department of Transportation. We have to get them involved, and we're happy to do so, but it does take more time and it actually is more cost. When you're talking about a highway sign, like if you're talking about an overhead sign, those would eat up a lot of that budget. In that. Guardrail is something that would be a great proposal.
Nope, don't say
No.
great.
I'm sorry, I'm doing
I
terrible
have a
here.
question.
No, wait.
I'm sorry.
So give us examples of things that you may not actually do.
So if we have a request for a sidewalk, for example, where we don't have existing curb and gutter, you have major stormwater, you're really talking about, multi-million-dollar project. So that would be all your eggs, to get a major sidewalk project like that turned around. So that would be something that would be a challenge with the participatory budget.
Can you do a UFO landing site?
What now?
A UFO landing site.
A what?
A UFO?
UFO landing site.
UFO landing site.
Sure, why not?
No, tell me the truth. You may not. No, I mean there are things
that in
that
your backyard?
are uneligible if it's on somebody's
Yeah,
private property.
Yeah, we wouldn't do it on. It would have to be on. It'd have to be on city property and within our right of way for us. So when it deals with private property, you're talking about right of way and a major cost for us to actually make that happen. So that would not be something that we would think.
What things require permission by the parking and
Traffic and parking?
Yeah.
So traffic parking, like speed limit changes, like changing the speed limit, stop signs, they have to go through traffic parking. Red light, they have to go before traffic parking. I can give you an idea, of cost for a traffic signal. So believe it or not, just one traffic signal can cost up to $1 million.
What about a blinking yellow light at
An intersection, like a caution light,
Yeah.
like a slow down light. So if it's on a state route, remember we would still work with TDOT. We have to go to TDOT, but if it's on a local road, you're looking at probably $200,000 to $300,000, for a project. If you're talking about an overhead blinking light in four directions or 3 directions.
Yeah, like County Hospital Road is considered an arterial road. So where it crosses with Hyattsville, there's a lot of crashes.
We also have other solutions for cautionary lights that are mounted on the shoulder, in advance of that. But if you're talking about like overhead, an overhead light that's mounted on poles and things like that.
What's the other option you can?
So advanced signage where we have advanced signage where we have like a street sign integrated, a little bit larger than a standard street sign. Yeah, but that actually has embedded lights in there, and we can use solar power. So
Not 200,000.
no. You're talking more in the tens
What do
thousands,
you
like
call it?
10 to 20,000.
If we wanted to submit it as a project, what would they call it?
You can just call it a caution light, or,
Blinking. I mean, I didn't know because but he wasn't talking about the overhead light is what I would be thinking, but to let them know that it wouldn't be the overhead, but it's still a caution.
See, and those are questions that we had to call back last year to ask people to get.
What did that mean?
Yeah, divide those a little better.
So when you were talking about the traffic calming, and you said there were signs on the side of the road, and I asked you, is that the ones that have, like on, I think it's Knob
Speed
Road,
feedback
Knob Road,
signs.
there's a speed feedback? It's one of those.
I really.
Just be objective. Don't say you like it.
Just tell us what they are.
Speed feedback signs are, they actually
Show
record
you
the
what your
speeds and they
speed-
show
yeah.
what your speed is versus the posted speed.
Right.
And they are really effective.
I always thought the police put
Effective,
those
but
up.
I did too.
How much are they?
Yeah.
They're about 5,000 to 10,000.
So you could get
Yeah.
For how long?
No,
No,
they
these
have
are-
permanent
are they
ones.
permanent?
So they have permanent ones that you
The
can install.
police, theirs are on that little
Roller.
Looks like a
with
little.
the blue light
Right.
and
We do have
no.
portable ones. We
Yeah.
have portable ones too.
Yeah.
And we have you can actually submit a request for those.
For
So
the
we have
portable.
and we actually purchased 10 more of those here.
But those
recently.
are those temporary?
Yeah.
They're temporary. Yeah.
But we're talking about
like
the
one on
permanent
Knob
ones.
Road is permanent. And
Yeah.
you said that's 5 to 10,000.
Correct.
And they're called what there?
Speed feedback signs.
Speed feedback signs to let you know how fast you're speeding. I
I
had a
want
question
you
about a
to
road.
thank the principal for letting us use her.
Yes.
Close.
Y'all didn't have to do that.
No.
What's your name?
Thank
Not
you.
dressed. I'm Rhiannon Wilson, the principal.
Rhiannon Wilson.
Rhiannon with an
Rhiannon.
R.
Rhiannon.
I've just finished my first year here. This is a little slice of heaven. I mean, tell your grandkids, your kids, nieces, nephews. We have 3 and 4 year olds. It's just pre-K, so we inherited this huge gym because it used to be an elementary school.
Right.
So, but we are all 3 and 4 year olds.
Is this a charter school?
No, it's a metro school, public metro school.
I knew you weren't there last year.
So 3 and 4 year olds.
How many students?
So I have, last year we had 156.
Right.
So I have 9 classrooms, 5 4-year-old classrooms, 3 3-year-old classrooms. One of those 3-year-old classrooms is a blended pre-K. So 6 gen ed, 6 students with IEPs, and then we have a self-contained class. That's students with the highest needs.
Nephew went there last year.
But,
They had an
I used to
excellent
go
program.
there when they
But
were.
So-
amazing school.
So the thing about PB is this building is on public property, and an idea could be something to improve something in this building.
What do you need?
And so
Ooh.
she cannot. Well, yeah, she can talk about it.
She can
because
talk about
she's
it.
not
What
part
do
of
you,
it.
what do you need so we can encourage the community to
Okay,
get behind it?
we need community partners. As a new principal, I partner with New Seasons Church right here, but we definitely need community partners. We could use, we have this big gym space, but we don't have a lot of things for the students to do. And MNPS gave us ESSER funds, the school district, so we use a lot of those funds. We put the rock wall up this year. We put a little, it's a climbing wall, the mat comes down. We
Okay.
put a little playground structure over, but this is a community playground, so it's very expensive, but this was built for elementary school students,
Yeah.
because these students are 3 and 4, it's not developmentally appropriate, and
So
so
they need new playground
we need a
equipment.
new playground. We
So-
need a developmentally appropriate
Oh,
playground.
That's an example.
Developmentally appropriate
Developmentally appropriate
playground.
playground. That's a
Playground.
tongue twister.
Playground,
For
that
the
is.
third, 3 and
3 and 4
4
year olds. So this, they play out here, but it's not developmental.
She already took some of the. She actually put it on her social media already.
I did. I put it. We have an Instagram page, Ivanetta Davis ELC, and we have a Facebook page, Ivanetta H
I
Davis
need to
Early
go be
Learning.
Is
friends.
this the drainage area, is that metro drainage area right back out there?
Behind where the tree is
Where the
down.
tree is from.
Mhm. We asked maintenance to come and get it up, but they said it wasn't Metro School property because it fell behind us.
So that's stormwater is one of the meetings that we're trying to set up.
Yeah, I don't see about stormwater, because they came through a couple of years ago and did an excellent job, and then just dropped the ball.
So my point is, this is a public property. Ideas that people submit about buying equipment for this school, it's permissible. And then it will be up to the budget delegates to decide if they want to put that on the ballot or not.
Now, these are pre-K, 3 and 4 year olds.
Right.
So I'm wondering if their playground equipment has that cushion on it.
She said it's not broken.
They just need all new equipment.
Right.
Just like with what they're gonna do in the neighborhood.
Right.
All right.
As many as I want.
What you want to do?
I had a
Should we
question
wrap up
for
the meeting?
him. I had a question for you too about, in some
It's
of
your
the,
meeting.
on some of the streets, the,
I'm sorry, I'm right here.
and some, on some of the streets, that were put some time ago, there's no, there's no curb. So when it rains,
Yeah.
it goes into the yard. So is, a project, if we submitted a project, not just us, but there's some other neighborhoods that don't have curbs along the street, they're not asking for sidewalks. They're just wanting a curb to help guide the water that's coming, rather than it pooling in their yard. Is that more of a stormwater?
It's more of a.
What they
that would
call
be
it, a
stormwater.
burn?
But they can come through and trench now.
Yeah, they
No,
need
well,
a dig.
this is
They
so, yeah, this is like really, you got a curb here, but you have no curb there. Then you have a drainage there.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just not designed right. It was
Yeah,
just
they can come through
really,
and trench that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's stormwater.
but they did put a berm, is it berm? A
Yeah,
berm
you can call it a
on that stretch. So it's like, we start right here and we go down.
direct the water.
But they didn't do it on the other end, so a berm is not something that we can submit as a project, or is it more stormwater?
Well, I mean,
Submit a project to
submit anything.
stormwater.
We're gonna do it.
You can
Cause
submit
there's
anything.
some streets, There's some streets out in
You
Haynes
can
Park.
submit 1,000 ideas.
Yeah, you can submit anything.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's some streets in Haynes Park that are having the
Don't tell
same
me, just
issue.
Yeah.
go online
Put it
That's
and
what
in
I'm
there.
saying. You can submit anything.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's putting a rock wall over there, you can submit that. Yeah,
Don't
whatever.
tell me that, because
Yeah.
we got.
And it may, you know, and that's what we have to go through.
Okay, so
agree.
ladies and
Document.
gentlemen, thank you so much for coming for this idea collection session, and your conversations and your interaction with our guest today, Mr. Freeze.
Red freeze.
Red
Mr.
freeze.
Red freeze.
We need your
Has
card too,
been,
don't forget.
has been enlightening, and thank you, Michelle, because we know that we can call you and ask you questions.
You got a card, Michelle?
I don't. I keep meaning to go to my office.
I'm a kid. I can get you through here.
Thank you, Fabian, for setting everything up. That's
Yeah.
always wonderful to work with you to get everything set. Now, what's what we gotta do, guys? We gotta get the word out, because we only have 6 weeks left for us to get these ideas in. So we have to get the word out to the community. I know that the subcommittee of the steering committee will be working on community engagement, but we too have to also get the word out. If there's a meeting that's gonna take place in the community, let Fabian know so he can put it on the calendar.
Right.
So we can get people there, and we will come and bring materials and participate. Hopefully they'll let us say a few words, or we can set up a table and talk about it, but we gotta get the word out. 'Cause we wanna have more ideas than last year. We had 400 last year. We wanna have more than that this year, and we wanna have more people vote this year. So please, let's get the word out.
I have a question behind that statement. Weiss Creek, when you look at the area for the participatory budget, it spans all the way to Weiss Creek. They're just now realizing that they are a part of this, because when you look at the name, it says Bordeaux North Nashville. So will they consider changing the name so it can be more inclusive without people just saying, oh, that's for them?
That's an idea you could submit to the steering committee,
Yeah.
and then we'll address it once we
Yeah,
get
because
the-
now the time is short. You only have a month. You don't have 6 weeks or however long you have.
Submit the
And their meeting, but I'm just saying their meeting is taking place, and I hate the fact that they didn't know. And then there are other areas in between that it's like, we just didn't know.
Well, I think we'll be making a trip out to Whites Creek, just like an idea session, just like this, we'll be going out to Whites Creek. But your concern, if you submit that to the steering committee, we can address it and try to get it addressed before this
The
is
next
all
one.
over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I am actually going to Whites Creek, they invited me.
I'm talking about the Weiss Creek community?
Right.
They
Which
invited me
one?
to go up there.
Mac Wilson?
Yes.
And we
Okay.
have,
That's Monday.
we have an alternate
Yeah, he'd be up
that's
Monday.
part of the Whites Creek.
Right.
I'm
community.
sorry,
We
say
have
it
an
again.
alternate on the steering committee who's part of the Whites Creek community.
George.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, he's with
Friends of, yeah,
Weiss
Friends
Creek.
of Whites
Friends of Whites
Creek. So he's an alternate.
Good. Okay.
Well, thank you so
So
much
thank
for
you. So
coming.
next week, June 30th, is virtual, so look on the hub and get the link for the virtual meeting for next week. And then the following week, we have another in-person at one of the locations that is listed on your sheet, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
And Friends of White Creek sent out an email that they said that they were part.